Sigma! Look!
Akane. Her name is Akane Kurashiki. I've been looking for her for
She's a hologram.
I see you. Fine. I've been waiting for you. Well, I suppose that's slightly inaccurate. What you see now is a holographic message I recorded before you came here. Unfortunately, this means I will not be able to answer. I hope you will understand. Now, where you probably have a great what day is it? Where are we? Who is Zero? And what does he have to do with Akane Kurashiki? But I imagine there is one question that rises above. Why were we brought here? The answer to that is simple. Everything that has happened here is part of our plan. All of this was required for this. I assume you've heard the name by now, at least. In any event, you were all needed in order to execute our plan. The nonary game was necessary for this. Your question now, I imagine, is just what is the answer to that is also simple. Allow me to we created the AB project for one to transport the consciousnesses of two people into the past. Those two people are you, Sigma, and you, Phi. Have you figured out what this room is? I assume you saw that it stands for quantum. That makes this the quantum room. Take a look at the rear. Do you see that large enclosure? That houses our quantum computer, the systems that control this entire facility. That includes the construct you refer. All of them do their thinking in that box. Isn't that strange? It seems contrary to the body. The thing that you see, but the mind and all. Perhaps it isn't so strange, though. Perhaps humans are the same, with our minds and our core is in our head, of course. We all have individual brains, think individual thoughts, and act according to individual wills. Makes communication difficult, so we're forced to rely on inefficient mediums. Each one of us is an individual, but in the dimensions we are most familiar with, yes, it is. If we look at things, we may all be like the branches or a rhizome. Imagine a horizontal cross. All you can see are the spots where the roots intersect in the two dimensions you see. The roots all appear to be individual things with no connection to one another. But this isn't the case. If you expand your view and look at the root system in 3 dimensions instead of only 2, you see the truth. Joined in 2 dimensions. But if you look at the roots from a third height, you see things that might appear to be separate from one another in 3. Doesn't that at least seem like... I believe that is how... Well, I'm not the only one, I suppose. Zero and I share that belief.
Morphogenetic field theory.
Now, when I talk about a 4th dimension, I'm referring to the 4th dimension used in Minkowski spacetime. Let's start with a single dimension, where all that exists is a point. To one another, and you have a line in 1 dimension, the only surface you can, but move to 2 dimensions. These are 2 move up to 3 dimensions, and you can connect. Now you have a 3-dimensional surface, which connect 3-dimensional objects to one another, and you formed a 4-dimensional object, which encompasses a volume of both space and time. It is on that 4th dimensional. If that was true, then what would prevent anyone? That theory is the A represents after, and the B represents before. It probably sounds silly to you. A ridiculous story made up, but look at what you've seen many different. And what about you, Fi? Am I wrong? Tenmyoji should know what I'm talking about. I believe you experienced something very similar nearly half a century ago. Send your consciousness to the past to help save a little girl's life. was a long time ago. Perhaps you still remember.
Yeah, of course I do. How could I forget? That little girl was you.
Now, unfortunately, my time is the final stage. I need to go prepare. The next time we meet, so come and find me. I'll be waiting. One last thing. The cat in the box. Is it alive or is Sigma? Fine. Goodbye.
Wait! Akane, wait!
Oh, Tenmyoji, I can almost see you. You don't need to everything. I will see you again one day, but I'm going to have to ask.
Wait! Akane!
Goodness, it will take some time for them to recover complete, but they should be fine.
Good.
Indeed.
Thank you, Luna. And thanks for finding the medicine. Thank you so much.
No need to thank us.
We found those before you returned. We went to check on the bomb in room 2, and we found them there. Of course, the bomb was indeed turned off. Thank you again for dealing with them. You are, quite literally, lifesavers. You have my eternal...
No, I'll let you. I chose betray in the last. You probably don't trust me.
Excuse me. I apologize for interrupting, but I think you should...
Why?
You already have 9. There's no reason for you to choose betray. You see? Not necessarily.
What does it? We're almost there. We just have to play the A-B game. Then we can all get, but that means each represented.
Okay, I'll vote. You sure you're alright with this?
Shall we open the doors?
An M40?
Oh, right.
Oh, well, we could vote earlier, but then each voter would be stuck inside the...
Okay, let's go.
I agree. Please.
Hold on. I just remembered something. The AB room on the left, in one of the other histories, she... Maybe because she wasn't murdered. Do you remember what Akane said?
The cat, is it alive or is it dead, Sigma?
Exactly. Perhaps she was saying her own fate wasn't... The history where she's alive and the history where she's murdered are both real right now. No, we haven't found a body, but we haven't found her. In other words, the hologram was a recording from before.
The next time we so come, I'll be waiting.
No. This is one of the AB rooms. Damn. I guess you did lose your memory app. Check your bracelet. Mine's the same. No. I think we woke up a little earlier. Push the buttons on the side of your bracelet. We didn't wake up this long before the primary. I think we're about an hour early. Yeah, Akane might still be alive. We got back with, I think. Right. Exactly. Don't need to tell me twice. Let's go. He's fine, just unconscious. I don't think he saw me. He probably has no idea. He had it come.
So you came. I've been waiting. You're here to hear the rest, right? I've been stabbed in the heart by this young man and died. Although, that reminds me, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate.
Hold on. How do you know about being stabbed by Dio? Are you an Esper too?
Yes, indeed I am. I am able to jump through time, just like you. Because, think back, if I hadn't been killed by Dio, no one else would have been murdered. Consequently, I did explain. The purpose of the AB project was to send the two of you to the past. In order for that to happen, when a human brain is faced with information is processed more quickly, and time almost seems to slow. A few seconds can feel like an eternity. Unfortunately, the amplitude of the consciousness is simply too small. In order to increase the amplitude, we need to slow down the brain before the increase happens. It's a little like a sling. You pull back on the rubber band and then let go. The potential energy you stored in the bag, that's what fires the bullet out of the slingshot. Now, while a slingshot can only fire in one direction, when the bullet of your consciousness is fired from the slingshot of your brain, it travels past the three-dimensional world and into the four-dimensional one. From that perspective, in other words, you can travel to the future, the past, whenever you like. Your consciousness has been released from the three-dimensional cave. In order for that to happen, I had to infect you with radical.
We're infected with...
Yes. Don't you remember, Sigma? Luna should have told you.
Are infecting all of these people?
Every single one of you has been infected. Well, apart from Luna, of course. Unfortunately, it was necessary. We needed to slow your minds in order to store up your potential energy. Then we provided a dire situation. The result is what you are now. Your consciousness now occupies. Even that, however, you had the ability to travel, but your memories could easily. If the project was to succeed, you had to. That was the reason you were forced to. With each jump, eventually. That was why you had to select different chromatic doors. By forcing specific choices, we could cause you to make more Yes. Haven't I told? Death was unavoidable. You are all destined. Sacrifices. I'm sure you're...
What? Just when is eventually...
In a future not very far from now. I'm going to keep... But it's almost time. No. In a few moments, you'll return to the original time. This is the way. Don't fight it. Logomorph.
Yes.
Logomorph?
You call him Zero Jr. Logomorph, this is... Unlock my bracelet.
Compliance.
Now, everything is in place. I have put the bracelet onto... All we have to do is place his body in the 5th AB room.
That's the one for...
Correct. I will move him. I will also put your bodies back into the 3rd AB room. Once that's done, I will reset its... to recreate the history that your consciousness is about to leave your body and return to the future. Your body will be emptied. If your bodies aren't back in the 3rd AB room by then, it would be bad.
So you're saying some version of us is going to wake up in that... Well, I guess this could...
You are exactly... Lastly, I'll tie it onto your ankle. Tu fui ego eris.
It's Latin. It means, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be.
Yes. It will help you meet someone who's very important. Go. Return to the future. You won't. I will be at your... Now hurry.
Oh, looks like you're awake.
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the...
Kay and I went back to the infirmary.
We waited and waited, and
So we went to the
we found you passed out in front...
Kay and I hurried back.
You mean what...
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
What am I? Top liver?
Back among the conscious and not...
Yeah, thanks.
Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding...
Really grabbing at straws here, aren't you? Not really my...
Whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
I've got 15. That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game.
Yes. Of course, the color and group assigned, but no matter who voted, everyone chose Alan. And now all of us have a...
Haven't I told death was sacrifice?
Come on, let's open the door and...
All right, let's get going.
Yes!
The number 9, it will... Two, 1, 0. The number... The number 9 door has closed. This ends. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door
Looks like we did it.
Yes, we should keep moving.
You know what this...
Whoa! Hold on a minute! You're saying the air outside is full of...
Why? How did all this happen?
Did they...
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know.
All right.
Where the hell are we?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out.
I don't know, but I think I know what day it is. Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse.
So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was going to be on December 31st, 2028. So...
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
I think so.
The moon. Well, the moon's shadow. Zero told me to... I think he was worried I'd spill the... He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill... And I agreed, like an idiot. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So, that being the... Might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's Think about it. If that's the...
That's Earth?
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse. And again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon, covered covering the sun.
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base. No way. No. You've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe this can't be the moon?
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, the moon only has 1/6, so what's this? See, that looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked. You were right about the graph. I was one of the people who knew this. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest.
Excuse me?
Please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Accelevier. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1. It can take a while for your brain. Every one of us has been in other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to that. Means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's the time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, then I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity. The gravity constant is, well, you could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10. Does that make sense? So, now we've established that on the moon, things of that being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed to them? 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us. Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't know? Are you sure you didn't think back? Huh? You and Sigmund Phi said something about how you felt.
It's kind of like my body is, I'm sort of floating. Like that?
Wait. This is crazy. That can't possibly. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth, and that thing is just.
Before we get into that, this isn't New Year's Eve in 2028. Today is January 27th. No.
Don't tell me. 30?
Still no.
Then just what year?
It's 74. 2074. I don't blame you if you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on him. I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there. Didn't take long for it to spread. Like Luna explained, the virus, but eventually, pretty soon, the bodies start. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves, but for some it was poison or fire or asphyxiation or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people everywhere you went, there were just piles of I don't know what hell's like. After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss: how could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth, and that had killed the virus. On April 13th, that plan was to detonate all 8. Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor, but I've got my own theory. I think that the bombers had already been infected, and when they died, the ultimate, if I die, you're coming with me gesture. I bet you money they all lost it long before they got to the reactors, killing most of the world, no matter how, even if it wasn't directly responsible. Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth. Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosions threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. Blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered, and the few humans who were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually, they were over, though. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite bad. It's been 45 years now, but that's what you're seeing. You know why a sunset's red, blue, and green light have short wavelengths, and red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can be.
Hey, Sigma, I think I figured something. I figured out why there's an extra E. Yeah, I think it's an anagram, just like on floor A. God damn it, Sigma! Knock it off! Memento mori, if you rearrange the man on the moon rules the infinite time. See? You need 6 E's to get that, so they stuck an extra one in 9th. I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling?
We created the AB project for one purpose. To transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the...
God, you don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple out. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back. Yeah. I think so. Well, Akane should be able to... Let's go pay her a visit. Come on. Remember what she said when she...
To free ego M.
Well, come on. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
What? Did you forget something? You mean Akane? I'll take that as a yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait, why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please. I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
I'm going to then. So am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is
Clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the gate... Assuming Zero Jr. was to put the door on...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Any idea where Akane... You mean...
Is
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
What is this?
It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah, it's a treatment.
Oh my god.
It is, isn't it?
Let's see what's in. No good. I think it's locked.
Treatment pod. Stage 2. Once stage 2.
What? So, Mizakane's like an ice cube? Then we gotta wait.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
I remembered.
What do you remember?
Everything. I was born and raised in this facility. It's called Rhizome 9. A rhizome is an underground plant stem. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations. The number comes from the facility. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon. And this is... Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you. In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB...
The AB...
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past. Yes.
So, you want us to go back and keep Radical 6 from getting it? That's our mission?
Well, not exactly. It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general, but even if you do make it back, by now, it's already too late.
Too late?
Let me begin at the beginning. You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were, but that's not entirely. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of... We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your... That is why you had to play the AB game. By forcing multiple options, we speculated that jumping more... The puzzles were also there. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth. That was the reason. Your infection with radicals. By slowing down your brain's processing speed with that energy stored up, we just had to provide a... like a bullet from a sling.
Wait, hold on just a minute. You keep talking about Sigma, but what about the rest of it? Why did you bring us?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good... In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary... Yes. Very well. I will try and do so. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, The location is Earth, of course. More specifically, Los Angeles, California. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put it. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were put. Does that make sense?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes, in preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking, as I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to say Espers are able to sort of resonate, you understand? This is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh?
But you did. In another history, you were able to perform prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind. Only you could do that. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were able to determine that Dio had planted the bombs. Then we were able to question him. and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we use that information to... Without your help, Alice, it would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust. This history exists because... Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji, and Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used...
Yeah.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi. All it took was...
Do you want to see a con? If you do...
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you and...
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about... He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, I never thought this would... Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, and headed straight for them during the trip, Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out. And when I woke up, I was in the AB.
Now, Dio, his real name, he was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called... It was Brother who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago. Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier? The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change... If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organ. Our success would prevent them from creating the I. That is why Brother sent left, his trusted lieutenant. They needed to stop the... So, Dio, first, was to eliminate Akane. The architect of the second was to join the AB game. And if Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed. At least, not in that timeline. In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, if you cannot murder, destroy, right, hence...
Can I ask you something?
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about...
He was also an SP. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed? Excellent. That explains everyone. Luna... Sigma and Phi already know that. I don't believe I should reveal any. I think it would be more appropriate if you could... Would that be alright with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, the rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior.
Hey, who is...
You've already met him, Sigma. In another timeline.
Stage 2 TP.
It looks like it's finished. Shall we open the pod?
Okay, let's get started then. Ready? Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
You finally noted, didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side. Yes, I am.
Akane Kurashiki.
It's June. I mean, Akane from... But you're old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Akane, long time no see.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the web? Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds. I carried your bodies. After that...
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes. No, in this timeline, in this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two say it's just like Schroeder. Your actions in the future decided...
Alright, what about the other history? The one where who's wearing the armor?
That's quite the man in front.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was large doses of Soporil. Can cause memory loss. I gave him a...
So?
You've never seen...
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who...
I've never seen him before.
Me either.
Total stranger.
Did you hit your head or something?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past, or... Don't you get... You've jumped to the future from 45 years ago. It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. Zero, the mastermind of the AB project. Is you. No. It's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor. You will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering. No, You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are. His name is Kyle Klein. Your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, well, I suppose for you. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of if nothing was done. The reduced gravity, but you gave him that ever since he was born. He's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and he wasn't forced into it for the known. He's been wearing it. He was to be your if something happened to you before the I mentioned before that the AB project's A, that isn't all the A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul, or the past consciousness, will go into the future body, and the future consciousness, that was the chief. Sigma, do you remember?
You mean...
Yes. Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 20. You inhaled the white smoke, and from there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 6. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in, normally, you would have noticed that your muscles, in this case, however, the lower Moving on, if you continue along this line, you reach C, which is January, that is.
Whoa, wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days?
36 hours have you already? You are all in the virus, slowed your... So yes. But to you, it only seemed like 4. Now comes the after this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at April 13th. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why you will return to the past. The story does not end. The line can... After reaching point, but this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body. Until you reach. Do you remember? Correct. That was so. Where did the older version of you go when you took his body? Yes, his consciousness will go back in time for a period of time, while your younger consciousness is elsewhere. He will be you. That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at sea. Rotating. I suppose you quite look at this. What if you take all these lines and untangle? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path. With one. Exactly. Point E is December. Yes, by now you've. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago. Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C, and for point C to happen, that is why we have faithfully retraced history, so that we might save and undo the horrors. What is that? Yes, that's right. Yes. We need potential energy stored to send you. Fortunately, we know. Thanks, ironically, to all that remains is to launch your like a bullet from a slingshot. Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced that can jumpstart. You haven't figured. I mean this.
April 13th. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, all of our station's reporters have passed, so have I've managed to keep us on the air until now. It's time for me to sign. This concludes our I pray that someday. Goodbye.
It looks like the first step was successful. Killed? Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine. Yes, you and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way. Yes, I only told you about you. We also needed Phi. Now, you know what happens next, right? Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow. We've nearly finished preparing. Only a few last-minute checks. You'll be traveling to Rhizome. Yes. Phi. We put her into cold sleep. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from point A to point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is. Yes, the point C version of Phi, she'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in... Correct. We can't do that. You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines. Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th. You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi. I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help. What do you mean? You'll both enter the Mars mission test. I don't know. I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place. That's why we need. You have the ability to jump through time. We need you to figure out. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle. The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop, so I suppose you could say you told me, after you failed, that the test facility, there was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye. Go have a look.
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering?
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an...
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. This should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes,
Why am I here?
the doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained...
Yes, I've been administering Soparil when...
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark...
Right! Miss...
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and...
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought... Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how...
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You're gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the path. You can't wait for something. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created whatever Sigma does in the past. History's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did, or didn't. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. Let's go northwest, he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, a semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. "90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually, Then suddenly, something happens. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body, just before he remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9? I mean, S's mind went...
Right. Okay. 9 people. What happens to the reality? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey, friendships, the loss of those 90 lives is horrible, but what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it. Are you saying? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that. You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not...
Oh! Then that means... Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there. There are likely people waiting for...
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Allison. We told him we'd see him again someday, and
They were the only people you want to say...
No point saying anything.
Besides, you were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not rude.
Of course, he is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know, she's not anywhere.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely... We had to be here to help change... That part's easy to understand, but...
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to they'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice... In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was...
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyojis, the one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going.
Don't get us wrong. We know why without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But...
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
Are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years?
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does...
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
so we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get...
Let's say you do go back to... Wouldn't that cause your minds to... That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps work.
Yes,
But this is different.
Different.
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a parrot. How could you have two clovers and...
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a...
How on earth?
Schrodinger's
cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle. Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting. There's a bedroom at the end of the hall. He's in there if you're... Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that, however, I imagine I'd love to answer all. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know. Phi, should I have instructed her to answer anyone other than...
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to...
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the... Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman, or Spider-Man, or Aquaman, or a Merman, or a Wolfman. I'm not a Brahmin, or Kamen, or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked that triggered something which sent your mind... Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold, you wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind... That pod was your home. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, even though you didn't wake, still unconscious, that was when a version of you from December and sending you back to this is when you finally in 2028 you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission Unfortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and another consciousness enters your body around. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when This caused the two versions of you to swap places. You moved 45 years into the future. That put you on the line that comes. So if we discount the time you spent in cold, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
What do you mean?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation. Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to... Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. see what I'm saying? In most situations, it works. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're...
So was that what you wanted to ask?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve. You and Sigma infiltrated them.
Yes.
What happened there? How did... And why was Radical 6 in there? And what could a deadly virus have to...
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because... there is a history where the virus didn't... That's the line that goes to the right. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for... The future is much... But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, you understand?
I don't. Why would all of that
You're about to go back to the past.
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all that? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. So how can you know my past? Sigma's past.
I shall give you are not. Your body is Kyle. Think about it. Do you really believe, or could you be
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out right now, in a manner of his consciousness. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on. Kyle is Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know that Kyle was Dr. Klein's spare, but that was not. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be for this to happen.
And that is why...
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved... Kyle has gone back to 2028.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just...
I suppose...
It's ridiculous. What's Skull telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled... As such, the rule...
I have no...
Please don't try. I know what. Surely you must... You are about to go into the path. Phi and Sigma. Even with all of his future... Only you can write the... Only you. Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2012?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must be. Reality is shaped by what if observation can change the motion of a particle. Then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you.